Now, there's been many versions of me, many alter egos, and I wanted to, sort of document them all in one single little video. And I'm trying to think out how I want to go about the video process. I think I'll do some drawings and such here throughout, and then I'll talk in my car. But I think I'm gonna go on a little nature walk real quick and just use some footage from this into any B-roll if I need any shots where I'm like, I don't want to just be sitting in a car talking the entire time. So hopefully this will be engaging and interesting, and then we can all learn about my past here and there together and all the various elements of me, because I feel like there's it's so many, and I've been many shapes and sizes. Okay, I'll probably try to do another take of that somewhere else. Okay. So my legal name is Dylan Francesco Cozart, but now I've had probably tens of, if not hundreds of different little alter egos and such throughout my years of 22. So I thought it'd be fun to sort of talk through, some of these little alter egos. And sometimes I think that, every single day I'm a different type of person. And honestly, unironically, sometimes I'll put on my glasses after taking my contacts out, or even just putting my hair up, and I start to think, oh, hey, I'm, now slightly altered Dylan, and I don't know. I don't always name it slightly altered Dylan, but there's a lot of names that I do actually have names for, of different, sort of like personas and stuff. And some people might look at this as some sort of like coping mechanism, but that's the ways of life. It's like, why tell myself, oh, last week I had an awkward interaction with somebody in public, when I can just tell myself, oh, last week a different version of me, I'm detached from who that was, and now I didn't have that awkward interaction. That was just me from the past. So I'm going to do my very best as I just sort of talk about my alter egos, and I'm going to continue talking even though this camera is on its last low leg right here. So in the same topic, I have some very early memories around like when I was 5 years old or something of my brother reinventing himself, sort of. We would go outside in my front yard, and he would like have an imaginary house, and he would call himself Qbert, and he would be like, hey, but I remember him almost putting on like a different sort of persona, and I guess this was my first like understanding of like, the fact that people can do this, and I remember it being so fun. I would play along and stuff, but now this isn't really one of my alter egos, but again, it was my first recollection of something relating to the idea of it. Okay, so in elementary school, I didn't really have, that many nicknames. There was a lot of other Dylans. Every single year I would have like at least 2 or 3 other Dylans in my class, so I was always Dylan C, and I had thought about trying to like tell them to call me something different, but like I never really cared too much. I was more so passive, and I was like, okay, if they're calling me Dylan C, then that's what my name is, so to speak. And I was recently just reminiscing with a friend about how I remember a time in 4th grade when somebody called me Dildo, and I thought it was cool. I remember being like, yeah, my first nickname, and I kind of played along and such, and of course I didn't know what that even meant at that point, and then I realized years later that they might have been making fun of me, but hey, that's alright. Maybe they didn't even know what it meant either. I give people the benefit of the doubt more often than not. So yeah, I guess you could count that as a nickname, maybe not alter ego, but we'll get to the alter egos. But also I think I have to mention, first time I tried my own nickname was around middle school, about 5th or 6th grade. We had a substitute teacher, and I told her my name was Francesco, it's my middle name, and it was only that one day I couldn't stick to it, and I was like, yeah, no, never mind. I don't even think I went the whole day, keeping up with the ruse. I think I eventually was like, I'm actually Dylan, and then she was like, okay, and I was like, okay. So yeah, I think that's sort of how that went. So now 7th and 8th grade, my group of friends, that was pretty consistent through to high school. This was my first sort of alter ego. They would call me Delonzo when I would act weird, or like, super cringe, or even sometimes I would just like make a bad pun, and they'd be like, oh no, Delonzo joined the party, and they would always like put like the twang on it, like, whoa, is this Delonzo? That kind of like, I don't know. And I remember like thinking it was just so funny, it was just that, childhood goofing and stuff. And I thought it was cool, again, I didn't ever really have too many nicknames up until I guess this point was kind of like my first one. And yeah, so that was always fun. And I even mentioned this name in like a recent unreleased song, and maybe I can play some of that. I made it about like a month or 2 ago. Middle school when I acted odd, my friends said my alter ego is the Lonzo, and still I chop samples like Costco, still marinate
songs like a pop verse with the
Oh, okay, I don't want to play, too much of that now, but, yeah, I don't know, and I guess it also shows, aspects of how I've always been, a little bit, strange and wacky, and then, dare I say it, I'll say, a little bit goofy, if I will. But yeah, okay, and I also remember around middle school, a few friends here and there would call me Dilly, and plus one aunt would call me Dill Pickle, which I was never the biggest fan of, because I didn't even like pickles, and even I still don't, and there's been a few people, like, throughout the years who call me Dill or Dilly or Dill Pickle, and I kind of just, allow it. I don't really care. They're not necessarily my favorite, but in context, they can be, in good fun and such, but again, I don't really count those as alter egos, more so just like nickname. And then around this time, I also created my first, like, rap alias, and there was kind of like two of them. To my friends, I would say, D Cozy, and this was like the main one, of course, from Dylan Cozart, D Cozy, and there was a lot of artists who used that formula of, that sort of one letter and then insert two-syllable name, so to speak. And I guess I can show, some of these early raps that I had where I, went by D Cozy. I still have the papers, and when I would write them on, like, the yellow paper, because I saw Eminem do it before, and I was like, ooh, that's what I gotta do to channel, the coolness and such. But then, also, when I would post the songs to online, I would post them under the name Gadaman Spy, and it was just, to fully detach from, like, my name and everything. And I've talked about this, here and there in some songs, but I haven't actually talked about this aspect of it. So there's still, like, some beats and old songs on YouTube, and they're all, very bad, of course. But it was just me learning how to, create and produce the songs and everything like that. And there's actually one of the beats that I posted that somebody actually, like, used, and they said, like, produced by Gadaman Spy. And also, like, the beat ended up getting, I think it has, like, a couple thousand views, like, not anything too crazy, but, like, I didn't even realize that until, like, last year. And the guy actually, like, made, like, a pretty sick song. There were just some guys in the background, like, drinking beers and stuff. And even, it's such a weird beat, because, like, I had used, like, some sort of sample that was in 3/4 time, but I put drums on it that was 4/4 time, because I didn't really know the difference. But again, I was just learning how to do it, and you gotta go through those phases of, like, learning how to actually do it, before you can get to any point of, like, making anything actually good. So, yeah, good. So then around, it was sophomore year of high school, when I actually decided to release my first, like, mixtape. It was under the name, like, D Cozy again. I made a bunch of, like, little, like, CDs and such, and I can probably find some pictures of that. And I think on it, most of the time I would write D Cozies, because I still wanted to, like, detach from, like, this isn't, Dylan rapping, this is just me having fun. And I think it helped, to create the music. But also, even in the song, sometimes I would refer to myself as various names. I remember a song, cozart, and I would kind of refer to myself as Co, because I thought the pun was cool.
I guess this is cozart. Vincent Van Gogh spits it sicker than most. Dill Picasso got the rhythmic flow. Cozy cozart is the ghost of Mozart. Wove with Michelangelo, and so this is cozart.
So yeah, I guess those were also, like, some sort of alter egos, because I would remember, again, like, when I would create, I would just want to, like, try to find ways to detach from, like, who I was, but yeah, and then some group projects in high school. I guess these were more so, like, band names, but we had, like, some Pursuit of Knowledge sort of, like, groups. The first group was called 130 Collective. I've mentioned this on a different song. And then there was also a group that when we had met, like, years later again, like, a different group of us, we started calling ourselves MS Pate for some reason. I don't know. I mean, we thought it was funny, and to be fair, I still kind of think it's pretty funny. And also, there was a time, I think it was probably junior year of high school, and I started going by my name backwards in certain things. Naled Trazak is what I called. There was even, like, a little documentary that I made for one of my English classes, where it was, like, two different characters of Naled and Trazak who were, like, talking about this character's life.
Naled, why can he hear me? You said the speakers were disconnected.
No, Trazak. I said my sneakers were sick as heck.
So yeah, those were also, pretty fun. And then I guess I can say this is another little, like, note that I wrote for myself. And I'm just sort of improvising about, but I wrote, like, some little bullet points that I'm just kind of going one by one, because I wanted to try to organize it. I wrote this at, like, 1 a.m. last night, just for, like, full transparency and such. But there was, like, a poetry meeting when I was on the poetry team in, like, senior year of high school at this point. And I remember, like, they were, like, calling names, like, one by one for people to to perform. And like every single time the announcer would be like, oh, I'm gonna mispronounce this name, and then they would say it, and then the person would go on stage and be like, oh, you pronounced it correctly and stuff. But then when they got to my name, full freaking confidence, they say Dylan Cozart, and I was like, it's just, it's too comedic to even like begin to make up. So like I never really minded that. And even like throughout the years, people would call me Dylan, and it took me until like I think probably a couple years ago from now when I realized that it was actually like a Chappelle Show skit. When things make more sense in retrospect, I guess everything does, so to speak. But okay, so first year of college, now we're at that point in the timeline. If you're keeping track, I'm trying to keep this somewhat chronological, but I was still, creating music and such, as I still am to this day. But my first year of college, and I again talk about this in a difference, and maybe I can just, play some of the song where I talk about that.
Freshman year of college, like 2 years ago, tried to change my rap name to cozart. People started asking why you doing that. It's 'cause the big city made me feel foolish.
And I had like a music management sort of class where like I was kind of managing myself, so I wanted to again like detach from like me, manager persona as well as artist persona. So I went by the name Cozy Esco, and I remember I had like a whole draft of a bunch of other nicknames on paper, so I don't think I'll be able to find that. Okay, maybe it doesn't really matter. Okay, but I dropped it because again, Cozy from my last name and Esco from my middle name. And I thought that was cool, but it didn't take long for me to realize that I didn't like that at all. And even when I posted it to Spotify, I put it under the name Cozy Esco, but then I ended up taking the album down and putting it under Dylan Cozart, just so it could be with my other albums and everything like that. So again, a different alter ego. Oh, and then sophomore year, this one's pretty fun. On St. Patrick's Day, I was about the drunkest that I've ever been, and I was talking to my very good friend and my roommate. I remember we were in Blaze Pizza, waiting in line, and we were just kind of, chatting and stuff, and I was telling him about how, my friends used to say that I was, called Delonzo in middle school, and he was like, dude, you're always a different person when you're drunk. You're kind of like maybe like Alonzo or something, and he just started calling me Lonzo every time I'd get drunk. And so I guess this was like an official like alter ego, because even sometimes like I wouldn't always like join the party just because I would prefer to like stay in my room and stuff, but maybe like once a month or so, I would be in the mood to join the party, and like they would always ask me or like talk about like, oh is Lonzo making an appearance tonight, and kind of like recreating those moments from middle school and stuff. But it was like a whole different twist on the whole situation, so I always thought that was fun too. And then there was also a different time, one party where I remember we were walking on the street at this point, just kind of like goofing and stuff, and I guess I was acting a little bit extra flamboyant, and Frankie was like, dude, this isn't Lonzo anymore, this is like Lindsay, and started calling me Lindsay, which again I thought was funny. And I think there was only like that one time really that I got to the point of being so drunk that I turned into a white girl named Lindsay. So yeah, and also around that time I remember when I would smoke weed, I would also in my mind feel like an entirely different person, so to speak, because that's what drugs do. And I've never done any other drugs besides that. Well, I guess some hallucinogens, but that's kind of it. And I never really had different personas under that. But I guess I can talk about, junior year. Halfway through I dropped out of college through my junior year, but that January I released a little project sort of under the name, well, it was still under like my main artist name, but like I tried to put on the persona of like this mid-sized meerkat fellow, because I thought it was funny. And it was actually back like 2 years before that where I made like one song called City Fog, and I just like wanted to create this like alter alias, mid-sized meerkat. And for some reason that January of 2020, I had finally just decided to create like a little 5-song EP, and that whole week that I created it, I was very under the influence of marijuana, just like kind of constantly, so that project was, and I think it's pretty obvious maybe listening. And there was also, I think it was around maybe like March or April of 2020 2020, I created a different persona called Dr. Linguini, because I made this like weird song to a Cody Co beat that was just like so different than like any persona that I had done, and it was like more explicit and such. I tried to like, I played it up maybe just for like a video or two, just kind of like joking about how like this guy stole my song, although like I had made like my own version of the song afterwards, remixing the Cody Co beat. So like it was a whole thing, you know, a whole like sort of storyline. And I don't know, even throughout the years, there's been like so many various little characters and stuff I've made through the skits, and like, you know, I would name them. Oh, even like one that I remember, Chester, you know, it'd be like Meet Chester, you know, and I don't know if I'd necessarily count those as alter egos, maybe just more so characters, and even like little stop motion dudes, and even like when I had like my beard like at the end of 2020, I always kind of thought that as a different persona. I think I even talked about how like it was an evil twin or something like that, you know, and I guess we're, you know, sort of nearing the list, you know, and even like currently, you know, in the past like weeks and months, I've been like almost wanting to change my name to something like, and I guess even this whole talk, you know, has elements of like narcissism, that I just want to get away from myself, or like even like self-esteem issues and such, feeling like, oh, if I act like I'm, you know, this person, then this person can be confident, but like even though I can't find like the confidence within myself, sometimes like, you know, I feel like maybe that's aspects of why I do it, because I don't know, I mean, even when I create in general, sometimes I just get so personal, and I try to be upbeat and joking and stuff too, and I try to just find the balance of all of it, sometimes like going by my real name, because I feel like it has to be like a full representation of myself, even though like I've never been able to create something that I think is 1000% all of me. That's not, you know, that's unrealistic to even happen, you know, and maybe it doesn't even matter. Maybe I'll stick with my regular old name for here on out. But yeah, I mean, I guess we'll see. I guess I'll figure it out eventually. And you know, oh, and I guess I can record from this camera just for a little bit more, even though any second now it's gonna turn off again, but just to get like one last shot of me in the car as I'm still like talking and stuff about this whole concept and stuff, and it's blinking red. But yeah, I mean, I guess that's it. I hope this was enjoyable. Thank you for watching. Until next time, hopefully I'll try to be a little bit more like consistent with things. I just need to, you know, again, maybe if I change my name, then I'll be able to, you know, branch away from myself, but probably not. I'm probably, I don't know. Again, I never really know, but this was enjoyable to talk about. I had fun doing like some reminiscing and such, and there's just so many things. I probably even like missed a few, you know, but you know, it's all good, man. Well, yeah, thank you. I'm gonna wrap this up. I've been talking for 30 minutes. Hopefully I can chop this down, make it like 10 minutes of concise, you know, goodness and good good entertainment. And the camera now turned off. Okay, well, I guess that's about it then. Thank you again, and I'll catch you when I do. Take it easy. This has been a message from... The message has been brought to you by Fazaki Lou. So now I guess now I'll take it back to before I started shaving, and then... Alright, so I kind of had just like stopped working on this alter ego video for like a whole like, you know, what is it, 8 months or so. I think I just got bored of it, even though it was kind of like mostly done. It was filmed in March, and after I filmed it, I thought it'd be fun to try to create like a whole different character called Fazaki Lou that I would start posting to. I only made like a couple videos here and there, but I think the original idea was to kind of just like keep on continuously doing it, and I think that would then justify taking so long on the actual video, but I mean, you know, that's all good. So I did finally get the video done though. I guess I thought that I needed to add like a very end to then explain, even though at this point, like so many, you know, months later, I don't think I even have much else to really add, but I think it'll make sense in the final edit. So I guess I can just keep on going about like this. So I guess, yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna leave this as this, you know. So yeah, I mean, now that it's January 1st, I feel like, you know, I just want to add this part real quick and then maybe be able to export it and get it done either today or tomorrow, and just finally kind of be done with this, because it's one of those videos I've thought about, you know, wanting to make it all different and everything, because everything was just recorded on that one day, like where I went on the trail walk, got all those cool little nature shots, and then, you know, recorded the talk in my car right there afterwards. So yeah, I guess maybe this adds a nice little conclusion to it of some sort. So yeah, I mean, I guess that about does it. Now I'm gonna need this SD card, so I'm gonna probably put this off.
also need this video, so I guess, alright, thanks for